Today, we're going to look at 6 different lenses on the Sony ZV-E1, see if any of them are good for video and vlogging. Can you guess which one this is? Stick around to find out. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Phil with Photo Gear Fun here today. Got a video with 6 different lenses, a combination of full frame and APS-C lenses. I'm going to show you 3 different ways with no stabilization, which is this currently the Viltrox 16mm f1.8 at f1.8 with no stabilization. I'll show you catalyst browse with the non-stabilized footage. I'll also show you, easy for me to say, active steady shot and the new dynamic active steady shot. So again, this is the Viltrox 16mm f1.8. I'll shoot all these at their maximum aperture, picture profile 1, also shooting in 24p 4K. And yeah, we're just going to walk through all these different lenses, walk through different stabilization modes, and we'll see what these lenses can do. At the pond, you'll hear that fountain in the background. Sorry if that bothers you, but that is no stabilization on the Viltrox 16mm f1.8. Let's see how active steady shot works. Okay, here we go with active steady shot. The sound's coming from a Rode Go Me. You can see the lav mic. It's a little windy, so I've got the wind muff on there. Hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. But this is active stabilization, which does incur a crop, so you can see that the framing is a little bit different. And then we get to dynamic, it's like a 30% crop, so the crop is even more noticeable. But this is what you can expect with just active steady shot. Check out the exposure. I've got the ISO set to 320. And then I'm in aperture priority, so we'll use the maximum aperture like I said. But that is active steady shot. What I'll do now is turn on dynamic active. You'll definitely see the difference in the field of view, and you'll see that next. Alrighty then, that is dynamic. So this is the best stabilization this camera and lens offers. There is no stabilization in this lens. There's only one lens we're going to test today that has stabilization. That's the Sony 10-18. Yes, it's APS-C. We'll see how we can use those. I think I've got a couple little tricks up my sleeve, or this camera has some tricks up its sleeve, so we'll talk about that when we get to those lenses. But this is dynamic active, and what I'll do next is put the other full frame lens on, the Tamron 17-28, and then we'll go through the same modes, and then we'll work our way through the APS-C lenses. So this is, again, dynamic active, the best stabilization. I've done some testing. This looks pretty darn good. I also believe that this lens looks pretty good, but let me know what your favorite lens is as we get through all of these. Up next, Tamron 17-28 f2.8. Alrighty then, that is dynamic. So this is the best stabilization this camera and lens offers. There is no stabilization in this lens. There's only one lens we're going to test today that has stabilization. That's the Sony 10-18. Alright, here we go. This is the Tamron 17-28 f2.8. We're at 2.8, no stabilization. There's no stabilization in this lens either, so it'll be no stabilization / catalyst browse. So you can see catalyst browse. I really like the job catalyst browse does. Yes, it's an extra process and it does take time, 3 to 5 times the clip to actually stabilize, but I think it's worth it if you're doing short form stuff. But so this is, again, is with no stabilization. I'm holding this on the Sony vlogging tripod that came with my ZV-E1, and seems fine. The ZV-E1 is a pretty light camera, so I haven't had any issues with it being able to carry the weight. So this no stabilization. Up next, we'll do active stabilization on this Tamron 17-28 f2.8. All right, here we are with active stabilization. So just pay attention, see which mode you think might work for you. Obviously, there's less of a crop, but there's still a crop here, and then dynamic has quite a crop, and with some of these lenses it doesn't make that big a difference, and actually you get a pretty good field of view. But again, yeah, this is the 17-28 at 17mm and f2.8, active steady shot on. There is no stabilization in this lens. Just not really taking any care to walking on a fairly bumpy trail full of roots and stuff. Yeah, so how does this look? Let me know what you think down below. Up next, dynamic active, and again, pay attention to the difference in framing and the crop. Alrighty then, getting a little more up close and personal. This is dynamic active. All the same settings. This is a lighter combination than the Viltrox 16mm. That Viltrox 16mm is a hefty, well-built lens, and I'm actually supporting my other arm because my weak arms can't handle all this stuff. I need to maybe work out a little bit, but at any rate, this is the best stabilization that's offered with this camera and lens combination. Let me know what you think. Check out the corners. I found Sony to be the best system for vlogging with wide angle. It's not all warbly like some other systems, especially Canon, and Fuji is probably the worst. All right, up next we're going to crack on, break out the APS-C lenses. I hear what you're saying. We'll talk about that in a minute. Alrighty then, getting a little more up close and personal. This is dynamic active. All the same settings. This is a lighter combination than the Viltrox 16mm. That Viltrox 16mm is a hefty, well-built lens. Phil, you're crazy. You can't use an APS-C lens on a full-frame camera. It'll vignette like crazy. Well, yeah, as you can see, that's absolutely true. There's a couple tricks up the sleeve here. I'll show you both. One is using in different stabilization modes, and they crop at different levels. The other is clear image zoom, so we'll talk about that. So yeah, this is a pretty gnarly vignette at 10mm. We are, again, no stabilization. This does have optical stabilization and then slash catalyst browse. But I'm going to show you how we can get rid of the vignette. Pretty simple and straightforward. There's a little zoom rocker on the camera itself, and you can enable just clear image zoom, not digital, but clear image only. And let's go ahead and see what that looks like. I'll show you how we can get rid of this vignette. Okay, so here we are with the vignette. I'm going to zoom in to about 1.3, and I can't see if it's entirely gone. In my testing, at 1.3 times zoom, that's about where the vignette disappears. So let me zoom back out. So now we're at just the regular 18mm, no zoom, clear image zoom. And we'll just zoom in with clear image to 1.3. And you go up to 1.5, so depending on what you'd like to do, you certainly have that option, but I think about 1.3, 1.4 is where it kind of kicks in. So for the rest of these, I'm just going to show you the full vignette, but just remember you can apply this clear image zoom to be able to get rid of that vignette. But I did want to show you how the lens looks just with its full vignette. So let's carry on. We'll go into active steady shot with this 10-18. All right, and by the way, f4 is the maximum aperture on this particular lens, so we are at f4. This is active and no clear image zoom, so active steady shot, no clear image zoom. And I can see that the vignette is less. One thing I noticed is as the sensor shifts, you might see that here, that you can see the vignette come back, or just like a black bar on the side. So pay attention for that too. That's why maybe using clear image zoom and these different stabilization methods would be helpful just in case, or you can always kind of crop and post. But this is active steady shot. Again, we're at 10mm, f4. My ISO is 400. I think I might have said 320, but it's 400. Just so I can keep the shutter speeds high for catalyst browse. Catalyst browse needs nice high shutter speeds in order to look right. So next up, dynamic active stabilization. Okay, there we are, dynamic active stabilization. The best to field of view is just still crazy here. So it's a 30% crop, I guess. So this is what it looks like. Check out the picture, check out the stabilization. This is a pretty light setup, and again, you do have a zoom, so you kind of have to decide which you'd like better in general, a lower maximum aperture or a zoom. You don't really get both. So you saw the f1.8, we'll see an f1.4 next, the Viltrox 13mm f1.4, and we'll see how that does. But yeah, this is the Sony 10-18 dynamic active stabilization onto the Viltrox 13mm f1.4. All right, so here we go at 13mm. You can see the vignetting. This is no stabilization slash catalyst browse. We're at f1.4. This Viltrox 13mm APS-C lens. And again, the vignette's there, but we can use the clear image zoom and the different stabilization modes to see. I'm going to show you again active and dynamic without any clear image zooms, just so you get an idea on how the lens behaves without it. And then you can always, like I said, add it if you want to feel safe, or if you think the stabilization mode, the crop is not enough. So up next will be active steady shot on this Viltrox 13mm f1.4 lens. Okay, so again, I can't really tell if the vignette has lessened. I believe it has, but I can still see it to some extent. We're in active steady shot or active stabilization. This is a fairly heavy lens, another well-constructed, pretty much all metal lens. I got this for my ZV-E1, and it's around 20mm full frame equivalent. But I do like this lens. It seems to be pretty good. Definitely a good choice, fairly inexpensive. And yeah, I've been happy with it so far for both video and for photos. So up next, we're gonna do dynamic active, and we'll see how that looks. And I think the vignette will be mostly gone, but again, pay attention to those black bars that you might see, or the vignette that you might see along the side. All right, here we go. Dynamic active. Even with sunglasses on, I can see it's tracking my eyes. So yeah, this Sony AF and this ZV-E1 is legit for sure. And I can't really see the vignette, but again, I can't see it on the screen. Sometimes a small screen, but you see how it looks on the screen that you're watching this on. But this is the best stabilization we can get here. I've got two more lenses. Up next, I think we will do the Sony 11mm f1.8, easy for me to say. It's a great little lens, pretty good maximum aperture. Let's see how that might work. It'd be definitely a light combo, probably the lightest combo that I have, or that I will show. So up next, let's go ahead and try out that little Sony 11mm f1.8. All right, here we go. Dynamic active. Even with sunglasses on, I can see it's tracking my eyes. So yeah, this Sony AF and this ZV-E1 is legit for sure. Okay, welcome to Vignette Town, Population 1. This, in my testing, has definitely been the one where the vignette is the most obvious and the biggest. But so this is no stabilization / catalyst browsed on this 11mm f1.8 Sony lens. Light little lens, really good. If you don't need zoom and you need a wide field of view, this is definitely one to consider. I think it's fairly reasonably priced for a Sony lens, maybe $500, $550, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but I'll leave links to all the lenses and the ZV-E1 down below. If you buy it, there'll be affiliate links. I get a little bit of that, but at no extra cost to you. So please consider doing that if this video has helped you make a buying decision. So up next, let's go to active steady shot on this Sony 11mm f1.8. And here we are in active. You can still see the vignette here. Again, this is no clear image zoom being applied, but you could apply clear image zoom to get rid of the vignette here. But just wanted to give you kind of the raw footage so that you can understand what you might need to do if you get any of these lenses. So what we'll do next is, like with all the others, dynamic active, the best and least vignetted solution here. And then we've got one more lens, which is the Tamron 11-20 f2.8, which is another super duper little lens that I got for the ZV-E1. Let's see how that does after we check out dynamic active on this lens. All right, this is dynamic active. I cannot see a vignette on the screen here, but I did notice in my testing that black bar, and when the sensor moves a little bit, you'll see it creep in to the left or to the right. So pay attention to that. Again, this, even with clear image zoom, I'm sure you get a decent field of view with this lens being 11mm. So that dynamic active, we're at f1.8. And up next, we will check out that Tamron and then wrap up this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment. Let me know which lenses you think are the best. Let me know if you enjoy this type of content. I might make individual videos as well. Let me know if you want to see a more in-depth individual video on any one of these particular lenses. All right, up next, we're looking at the Tamron 11-20. All right, this is dynamic active. I cannot see a vignette on the screen here, but I did notice in my testing that black bar, and when the sensor moves a little bit, you'll see it creep in to the left or to the right. So pay attention to that. All right, here we are, the 11-20 f2.8 at f2.8, and no stabilization. I was just thinking I sure hope there's no sensor dust. With all these lens changes, I've been trying to take precautions, but who knows, these Sony sensors just love dust. So hopefully there are no sensor spots. If so, please forgive me. This is no stabilization / catalyst browse. And then, like the others, we'll go through the other 2 active modes, and then we'll wrap up this video. You definitely see the vignette on this one as well. But check out the background on all these, see which aperture you like most. Up next, the active steady shot on this Tamron 11-20. All right, here we are with active. I don't see a vignette, or maybe just slight vignette here. Again, it's hard to see on this little screen and with my sunglasses on, but this is active. Looks pretty good on the screen, but then again, everything looks good on the screen until you take it into editing and you see it's not so stable. So I'm sure this is not stable. There's no lens stabilization here, so I'm sure this is pretty bad. But again, I just wanted to give you all the different modes so that you can make a decision and give you all the information that you might need if you're considering purchasing one of these lenses for your ZV-E1. So up next, we'll go to dynamic, and then we can wrap this video. Well, hello there. We are definitely up close and personal, or definitely tighter here, like with all the lenses. Is this acceptable? Still a pretty wide field of view. Yeah, it's a light combo, probably the lightest zoom combo of any, but that 17-28 full frame Tamron is fairly light too, and that will give you full frame. So this is, you'll see catalyst browse like I said as well. We'll do active, and then we'll be wrapping it up. Actually, this is active, isn't it? All right. All right, on to the next mode. Well, hello there. We are definitely up close and personal, or definitely tighter here, like with all the lenses. Is this acceptable? Still a pretty wide field of view. Yeah. All right, so once again, I made a mistake. So many lenses and modes to remember. We finished up with dynamic, so that last clip was dynamic. This is dynamic for the outro. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, again, leave me a comment what you think was the best combo. Down below there will be affiliate links. If this helped you make a buying decision, I'd appreciate you clicking on those links, and I'll get a little bit, again, at no additional cost to you. I want to encourage you to get out there and have your photo gear fun, and I will talk to you again in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.